Alright guys, we're back in my garage, and sorry, this week's B58 digest is coming in a little late again. Just coming off of vacation and everything, so I kind of missed filming my video over the weekend, but we're going to go ahead and catch up and talk about all the latest news and developments, so let's hop right into it. So probably the biggest news that's on everybody's radar are these new releases from the major tuning companies. So MG Flasher, MHD, and Boot Mode have all been releasing a bunch of teasers and updates just showing us new software developments and features that'll be coming out. And the three main ones that everybody's looking for is map switching, Antilag, and of course FlexFuel. And so I think map switching is one that MG Flasher has had for a little while. Antilag is one that they offered to custom tuners, so they didn't have it built into their off-the-shelf maps, but a custom tuner could get, the software and everything dialed in for you if you wanted. But the other two have not had map switching or Antilag at all. And then of course FlexFuel is going to be completely new for all three platforms. So that's really exciting. It's really going to tie everything together and make these maps a lot more user-friendly and easier to use for everybody. So of course, leading up to Black Friday, they were all kind of posting up teasers and things to help build up anticipation and help get themselves on people's radar in advance of the Black Friday sales. So the first ones that I actually saw were from Pro Tuning Freaks, and they've been posting some teasers in their stories. If you paid attention, you kind of had to go through like all of their shares and things like that, and every once in a while you would stumble upon one of their little teasers and things to show what they were testing out, but eventually they actually shared them on their page as well. So the first one that I saw, I believe, was on the 17th on their Instagram, and they kind of just showed a teaser of some of the developments they had going on. So this is a video of them kind of doing the initial testing on map switching and kind of seeing how it all worked and showing a demonstration of how switching through the maps would actually show on your cluster. So that's pretty cool. And then they did another update on the 22nd where they showed more of the development and kind of a little bit of an update to how smooth it worked and how well, that feature was integrated. Then on the 24th, MHD posted their teaser of their map switching. So again, it's using the same kind of strategy with the steering controls. I also like this one because a lot of people were curious if it would work with digital clusters like I have. And this one in specific was on a G30, so a 5 series. And they are showing that even with the digital cluster, you can switch maps around and it'll still indicate in the cluster the same way. So very excited to see that confirmation there. And then people started deciding that map switching was boring. So now we started seeing Antilag demos start coming out. And Pro Tuning Freaks also posted one a little bit later on the 24th where they showed, you can hold the cruise control button and it'll build boost up to, it says like 24 to 26 PSI. And then if you were actually using it, you could release the cruise control button and just take off. In this case, they're just at idle, they're just kind of demonstrating the features, but it's cool to see that boost is actually building and they've got the tuning dialed in to create that effect. And then I guess the pressure was really on because a little later, again on the 24th, MG Flasher posted their teaser. So they've got their shop car down off the lift and they're showing kind of how the Antilag works, and they even posted a video of how it looks in the dark. So you see these big flames and it's really loud. This is actually probably the most aggressive one that I've seen. So a lot of people were really excited to see that too. And then on the 25th, BM3 posted some of their FlexFuel kit assembly progress. I know they have been working on this for a while and they've been posting teasers of different boards and canvas integration setups that they've been trying since last year. So I have no doubt that they've been developing this themselves, but it does look like their final design is going to look similar to the MHD one that I unboxed a couple videos ago. So still excited to see that come together, especially if people have boot mode. They're probably going to want one from Pro Tuning Freaks, so it'll give you guys a nice option. And then finally, it all came together on the 26th where we had the first official release. So Antilag came out from Pro Tuning Freaks for the Gen 1 B58, and this is exactly kind of like how they demonstrated it. You're going to hold the cruise control button and floor it, and the car will build boost, and then when you release the cruise button, you'll take off. It also shows that they have a lot of different customizable settings, so you can set the RPM, you can set different safeties, so like what the minimum temps have to be for your oil, max oil temp, to prevent you from overheating your engine, even the time duration to make sure that you don't hold it for too long, and again, you could potentially damage something in that case. So a lot of cool features built into that to make sure that it's as safe as possible. At the end of the day, it still does have a couple drawbacks, and I'm going to be posting a full Antilag video where I just discuss the pros and cons of that in the future. But it's nice to see everything that they have integrated with the base software. And then, of course, all of those features can be adjusted in a custom tune. So if you have your custom tuner dialing that in, you guys can add additional safety, or you can even, remove some of it and make it more aggressive, whatever you want for your specific setup. So now the race is on. Boot Mode has released Antilag. They're still saying that map switching and FlexFuel is coming soon. So we'll see who actually releases those two first. But it's just really exciting to see this actually come together, and we've even seen a couple people testing it out and posting up videos of it. So very excited to try that out myself. Unfortunately, the weather here is really bad, so I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'll definitely let you guys know when it does. Now, even without all those features, we still have some cars that are setting new records, new really crazy performance times. So the first one is coming from One Stock F30, and he posted up that they are currently selling the shop car that they had over at M&P. So they completely reverted it to stock, and everything is basically going off to somebody to start and create their own project. And you can see a picture of the car here. A lot of people actually got it confused with One Stock F30's car because it was another white 340, but they had two cars, Andre's and then the shop car that was, just built for the owner. So this was the shop car that had a stock engine. Andre's car did run a little bit faster with a built engine, but they felt like this one was really cooking for stock a lot more than they expected. But now that that car is gone, they're sharing some of the times, and it is really crazy what this car was doing. So it has a completely stock motor. It does have a DOCRace 9280 top mount kit, so a similar turbo kit to mine, just with a turbo that can make probably 400 horsepower more than mine. It has a pure stage 2 transmission, a spool stage 3 low pressure fuel pump, an EOS intake manifold with 1000cc injectors, and a Dodge stage 2 high pressure fuel pump tuned by Big Boost. And it also did have some weight reduction. So it was on 17-inch apexes with kind of like a drag race setup. And they also had all the seats removed and replaced the driver's seat with a racing seat. Now, all of that being said, they were able to push a 9.5 quarter mile from this car. And they did it a couple times. They posted, that they backed it up with two 9.57s at different slopes. So anybody that's trying to do the slope corrections or whatever, it just kind of goes to show there are a lot of other things besides slope that can play a factor into these times. But definitely a 9.5 car. And it also ran a 4.9 100 to 200. So as far as I'm aware, these are the fastest times that I've seen from a stock B58 Gen 1. Even Andre himself said that they were surprised at how well this car was performing, and they were kind of waiting for something to get damaged, and they were planning on building the engine, but it just kept taking the hits. And so they ran it most of this year, or I'll say, the later half of this year. They were really pushing it after they bought the car. And yeah, it was really strong. They sold it all in one piece. All they did was return it to stock. So I think it's really cool to see these developments coming together. They think a lot of it has to do with the turbo kit itself, just because, with a bigger turbo, it's going to have a lot of lag. And so that kind of helps protect a lot of the components when you're doing drag racing. And it did take them a little while to dial in the launch and really get it to move off of the line because of the size of the turbo. But it just goes to show that if you really put the time and effort in to dial in your setup and get as much performance out of it as possible, you can really make the car fly. Then we also have another stock engine B58 that's moving really fast and posting up some data. And I think during the last video we talked about that burger car that made around 800 horsepower on the dyno. So now we have another car that is from Genea, and he's made 800 horsepower and 1,020 newton meters of torque. So again, a ridiculous amount of power for the stock engine, but this one also has the stock transmission. And so this was really impressive to me, and I know I have a manual trans, so I don't have a lot of time with the ZF8 and the XHP, transmission flashes and things like that. But for whatever reason, it never registered to me that you can limit the torque in specific gears. And we all already know that sixth gear is normally the weakest one, and what he did was simply limit torque in sixth. So the car eats on all the rest of the gears, but in sixth gear it pulls a little bit of power and a little bit of torque to protect the transmission. And then, in the higher gears, he doesn't really use the power. So especially for the times that he's running, he doesn't need sixth gear to be full power anyway. When you're doing a 60 to 130 or 100 to 200, you pretty much max out fifth. So he's just stretching out as much as he can get from this stock transmission. He's looking at getting an HP70 soon, but it's just crazy to see that much power and torque being held. So again, really focusing on where the limitation is and what you can do to get around that is what's key to setting these kind of performance times without throwing a crazy amount of money at your car. Now, he actually got on this dyno just for informational purposes, but we already knew the car was fast. He had posted a 5.0 100 to 200 run, and this was in Sport Plus because with DSC off, he was actually losing so much grip and the car was kind of like driving a little bit too erratic. So he kept it in Sport Plus for a little bit more control. Potentially with DSC off, he could take another 10th and get in the fours, but for safety purposes, he just ran it in Sport Plus. Now, as far as the full setup, it's a 340i rear wheel drive. It has a turbo system, stage 2 turbo. I believe the wheel has been slightly modified or upgraded since Turbo Systems is getting ready to release a new revision of their stage 2 kit. Then it's running on E50 with port injection and a stock low pressure fuel pump. I believe the stock low pressure fuel pump is getting a little more room because again, he's not trying to run full E85. So with port injection and an E50 mix, you can definitely get more room out of your low pressure fuel pump. And then, like I said, it's the stock engine, stock gearbox, stock intake, and basically everything else stock. It's actually kind of funny because if you look at the car, it's pretty much a sleeper. It looks just like a base model 340, no M Sport kit or anything really flashy. So again, really cool to see somebody working with what they have. I remember when he first came on the forums, he was asking a million questions about different setups and everything. And now he's really got his car dialed in. So I think the next step is a stronger transmission so that he can get more torque in sixth. And then we'll see, maybe he'll build the engine and go with a bigger turbo kit. So yeah, more great performance from the Gen 1. It seems kind of like we go back and forth between Gen 2's going crazy and then Gen 1's going crazy. But again, you know, this is everything that we're going to continue to see, especially going into next year. We have more fuel options available, more intercooler options available. More people are building their engines and transmissions and everything else. So you can expect the ceiling just to get higher and higher and higher for us. So this is an exciting time for everybody that's just getting into the B58 world. You know, there's a lot of room to grow and you can make these cars really, really fast. So that's everything that I have for this week. Again, thank you guys for watching. And if you see any other content, news, information you want me to touch on, definitely just reach out and I'll try to put it into one of my future videos. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.